Good morning, it's Doug from Vermont Hoyas, and welcome to a visit with myself and Hoya rigidifolia. It's a cold day here in Vermont. You can probably hear the furnace running in the background, so it's a little noisy. Let's talk about Hoya rigidifolia. This is fairly new to the trade. It was first described in 2019. It comes from the lowland forests of southern Sumatra in Indonesia. Can't say that it's the most attractive Hoya I've ever had, but it's a pleasing little plant. Let's take a closer look at it. The flowers are exactly like Finlaysonii, and they only last for about a day. They're very, very nice, no detectable scent at all. The leaves are very unique though for a Finlaysonii type flower. You can see that it looks nothing like the highly veined leaves of Finlaysonii, so that's why it's a different species, I guess. It's called rigidifolia because of the very, very stiff leaves, and they're kind of thick. You can see it has 1, 2, 3 prominent veins coming down the leaves. The new leaves come in kind of dark and reddish, but then they fade to a more light green. But I do like the plant a lot. I think it makes a very nice specimen. I'll pull back here, and you can see my trellising system still works great. I'm still using it on so many different Hoyas, and you can see that you can also just, if you're not hanging it, you can put it in a pot and grow it that way. So it's the only Hoya trellising system that I know that you can use as either a hanging plant or as a plant that just sits on the windowsill. I'm using it mostly for hanging because I can fit more plants in that way. You can even hang plants one on top of another. Get one more close-up of the flowers. Have to film this since they only last a day. See, I'm growing this in 100% coconut husk with a little bit of Osmocote thrown in. We got another peduncle over here starting to bud up, so it looks like it's going to flower quite often. Took me a while to get this plant going. I had to start it over actually probably 2 times. I think it's because it was plagued with pests. The flat mite, that caused a lot of problems, and I also treated this with a systemic insecticide because I had fears that it might have had some other kind of pest because I had a sticky residue on some of the vines. But that seems... Hi, it's been a few weeks after I filmed the first segment that you just saw, and I thought I'd bring back Hoya rigidifolia for a couple of reasons. First, it's put on a peduncle with a lot more flowers on it, so it's a little bit more impressive. That just opened last night. Still no scent, but very beautiful nonetheless. And I also want to talk about this problem that I mentioned briefly in the other video. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but can you see that? Yeah, you probably can see that nectar drip on the vine. It's really annoying with this plant. Now, I've treated this with a systemic, and it's been sprayed with sulfur at least 3 times, and I've examined all the vines with that handheld microscope, and I, for the life of me, can't see anything that is remotely alive on this thing. To me, sticky nectar like that usually means one thing: there's a pest somewhere disturbing the epidermis of the vine, or biting on something and secreting some kind of nectar. That's always been my experience with house plants. So if anybody else keeps rigidifolia, could you tell me if you have the same issue with nectar forming on the vines? It makes the vine sticky, and then within a short period of time you end up with sooty mold on the vines. Very annoying. So I don't know if it is a pest. If it is, for the life of me, I cannot find it or see it, but it's sort of detracting from this plant. It's got a lot of new growth on it. It's got a couple of new leaves forming. I like it more than I used to, but if it's going to continue producing this nectar on the vines or have some kind of pest, I don't think it's going to be long for this world. So if any of you could leave a comment that if you grow this plant and if you have the same issue with nectar forming on the vines, I would really like to know. Otherwise, it's some kind of pest that I just can't locate. Well, that's all I've got to say about Hoya rigidifolia. I thank you for taking the time, and I'll be back really soon with more great Hoyas and Hoya growing tips. Thanks again for watching.